been walking long like a marathon now. Tying up words, making them a bomb now. Tell me, who turned on the alarm now? I got a message when they put it in a song now. I'll see you later, all the haters got it wrong now. We're touching the lightning, we're coming alive, yeah. We're feeling inside, yeah. We got the power. Yeah, come on. We got the power. Yeah, turn it up. We got the power. Come on, is everybody with me? It's time to get together, no more enemies. Throw your hands up, can you feel the energy? Yeah, come on, can you finally hear what this means? 20-something years been chasing down this street, running like a wild man, going since 15. We're touching the lightning, we're coming alive, yeah. We're feeling inside, yeah. We got the power. Yeah, come on. We got the power. Woo. Yeah, get it turned up. We got the power. We're touching the lightning, we're coming alive, yeah. We're feeling inside, yeah. We're feeling inside, yeah. We're touching the lightning, we're coming alive, yeah. We got the power.
Okay, so, oh, my camera is not kicking on. There we go. Hey everybody, my apologies for the slight hiccup that we had just before this. I hope everybody's doing okay inside the stream now. My name is Chris Murphy. I'm an Unreal Engine evangelist, and I handle Australia, New Zealand, and Southeast Asia. Now, I'm here to run everybody through the technical training that we've got supporting the Australian Short Film Challenge. Now, for this session, we have some trainers that have actually come in. It's a company called Green Rain, and they've been handling training actually for a lot of like Bollywood teams, and as well as that, they've done various short films. So they seemed like a really great candidate to kind of run folks through the more advanced stuff. I'm just going to switch over to that now. Now, if for this session, we're going to be running through some advanced sequencer. I'm actually going to be hands-off on this one for a change, so this is the only part where you all have to deal with me. But we'll be running this through, and if anyone has any questions, be sure to bring them up in the Q&A. But I'm actually going to let Karen run through a brief introduction of the team and the content that you're going to be covering today. Take it away, Karen.
Hey, thanks, Chris. Thanks for the introduction. It's a pleasure to connect with all of you. Really looking forward to doing this session. We're going to be covering a few exciting topics today. So we're going to start with, exporting assets from Maya and then the correct way to bring them into Unreal. We're going to cover static meshes as well as skeletal meshes. After that, we're going to see how you can bring in your animations to Unreal from Maya and also your camera FBXs. Once that's done, we're going to focus on Alembic and the Alembic pipeline. And right after Alembic, we'll be moving on to LiveLink, right? And we'll give you an overview of LiveLink so between Maya and Unreal. And then we'll do a quick preview of some face capture with the iPhone. And after that, we'll move on to Control Rig, which is a great new tool in Unreal. Um, and then we also have Jeffy Zakaria here with us today, and he's going to be talking about his short film Wake, and he's been collaborating with us as well recently. So I'd like to introduce everybody on the Green Rain team today. So I'm Karan Parekh. I'm one of the co-founders of Green Rain. I'm joined by artists and developers on our team. So we have Uday Kumar, who's a 3D artist. He's going to be covering, the initial part of Maya and Unreal and how to bring your content from Maya into Unreal. We have Vijay Sawant, who's again on the 3D team, and Vijay is going to be showing you Alembic and LiveLink. And then we have Vivek Das, who's an animator on our team. Vivek is going to be covering camera export and bringing it into sequencer. We have Samik Kundu, who's a senior programmer at Green Rain. He's going to be looking after the control rig session. And we have Jeffy Zakaria, who's joined us as a creative lead, and he's also going to be talking about a short film he did earlier called Wake. So that's what's on the menu for today. We're based in
That's a
Mumbai.
lot of content.
Yeah, so that's the menu for today, and our team is based in Mumbai. So maybe a few thousand miles from where most of you are. So if you're ever in Mumbai, please come say hello to us. We'd love to show you our lab. Uh, yeah, that's all I've got. I think we've got a lot to cover, so I'm going to stop talking and hand it over to the team
Sure.
to start this session.
Who's up first?
So Uday will be going up first, and he's going to start with Maya and how to bring your content into Unreal from Maya. So Uday, all yours.
Thank you, Karan. So this is a scene which I'm gonna export from Maya to Unreal. So I'm using Maya 2019 and I'm gonna use Unreal 4.25. So let's export this guy. Select this hierarchy and export selection. So before we export, we need to look some settings before we export. So if you see this options, file type specific option. So make sure to check this box option smoothing group before you export your FPX file. And there's a bunch of options like animation, camera, light. So let's say your FPX file has cameras, lights, and everything, and you're exporting your mesh, but you don't want your camera export. Don't need to check this box option camera, or you don't need to check this box light if you don't want to export your light, right? And one more important thing before you export, this is under your file type, advanced option, and unit. So if you are working in meter or something, then it will automatically convert your volts into meter. So let's say it's looking pretty good here, and if you import in Unreal, and it will look small because of this issue. So make sure to uncheck this option. It will not automatically convert your mesh in some other scale, right? So let's just export this mesh. Gonna name it living room. I'm gonna jump back to my Unreal. So as you can see, I have a new level. I'm just clicking level, and inside Unreal, you can import in two different way. You can use this import button, or you can do with if you go in file menu bar, and there's an option called import into level. So let's try with this import button. So here's my living room that I just exported from Maya. And here's one pop-up dialog box just open. So here is asking a bunch of options where you want to combine your mesh or not. So as you can see in Maya, my all mesh are separate, right? But as a FPX as a single file, I need a one FPX single file as a static mesh. Then I need to check this box. Otherwise, all mesh will come as a separate individual static mesh.
It's worth noting that on some situations, you do want them to be separate meshes, and sometimes
Yeah,
that's yeah, it really depends on what you're building and what kind of scene it is. But yeah, in this case, I just wanted to flag it with folks in case they were like always wanting to check it. That was all.
absolutely. So in this case, let's check this box combine mesh, and you can also change your rotation or the transformation if you want at initially when you're importing, right? And as other option, you can choose your material. So I'm gonna stick with the default setting. So as you can see, my little living room is imported. I'm gonna drag to my editor. Okay,
It's okay. We'll give it just a bit
just
to be pulled in.
yeah,
Again, folks, since we have like a small army going on as far as the speakers are concerned today, feel free to ask any questions you have in the chat, and we'll do the best for all of us to try and answer them as we go along. You shader compilation's kicking a while there. Is
yeah. I don't know why.
it could be because you're screen
Even
sharing
I
at the
imported.
same time.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, we'll give it just a sec. Yeah, unfortunately, screen sharing takes up some resources. If you are running only a few cores, I think that can be an issue sometimes. So apologies for that, folks. We have had some questions pop through already. First question was, does FBX maintain the material properties like PBR settings in an export, or will you need to tweak these inside of Unreal?
Come again?
The first question was, does FBX maintain the material properties like PBR settings in an export, or will you need to tweak them inside of Unreal?
So basically, if you assign your basic material, like I did here, you can see my material, right? So let me just quickly pop up my material. Right.
It seems like we're... Yeah, you're definitely having something go wrong on your machine.
Oh yeah, I mean,
It could be... Yeah, perhaps it's the YouTube stream in background on your machine. I'm not too sure, but it looks like your shader compilation isn't reducing at all. Oh, you definitely
I
hang on.
let me just close all.
I'll just switch back to the full Unreal Engine logo while you sort out what tabs you're closing down here.
Right.
Um, uh,
So in general, if you export your any FBX model from Maya, it will carry forward your material if you assign your texture in base material, right? But if you apply your, let's say, if you apply your specular, your roughness, that specular roughness is not going to carry forward from Maya to Unreal. Only your base color, only your normal map will be carried forward. And if you are using working with Arnold, then some cases, if you have assigned your base color in Arnold shader, then your texture will be not carried forward. So you have to keep in mind. You have to use those blend, plane or phonics default material, which comes from Maya, right?
It does seem like you are having a technical difficulty here. This should no way have taken. Oh,
Yeah,
I think yes, something may be going wrong. Oh, okay. Whatever you've just done has jolted it into actually working now. So let's back away slowly while those actually compile.
right. So even though I imported as a one static image, let's say your supervisor or art director didn't like the position of this sofa or didn't like the position of any elements in the scene. Okay, so they didn't like the position or he want to change. Let's say he want to rotate more this covered. So you don't have you don't have that fidelity to rotate or move any object because it's come as a one static mesh, right?
Um,
Even if you right,
sorry, you go ahead.
yeah, even if you didn't check this combine option, then what happen? Your pivot point will be in the center of grid. So at that case, you will lose the control. So I'm gonna show you best way to import your FPX mesh. Gonna quickly delete this.
I think, given that your machine's having a couple of issues right now, and I'm not sure what's causing it, um, it may be a good idea for us to potentially switch over to one of the other sections and then come back to the rigged characters, just because something is maxing out your CPU. I'm gonna throw this. So it might be a good idea for us to switch to another. Karen, would you be comfortable if we ran with yours for a little bit while we kind of get this issue sorted out? Is that okay?
Yeah, cool.
I suspect it could be your screen share that's doing it, but it does seem like we're hitting some sort of problem on your end, UD. So I'm yeah, if you're able to look at what's going on to your CPU there, would probably be a good idea. My apologies for that, folks. What I might do is we'll flick over. Karen, who should we switch to just while we're resolving that?
We can switch to Vijay because he's going to cover live link, or we could, yeah. So Vijay can cover the Alembic and live link.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. We'll switch over to that then.
Thanks, Karan. Thanks, Krish. So
Uh, you just need your stream to come up there, Vijay. There we
yeah,
go.
I'm sharing.
Oh right.
You can see my streaming, right?
Yeah.
So hi guys, it's Vijay here, and I'm presently showing you a live link and Alembic export. So let's
one moment,
start
Vijay.
with,
You're sharing your Discord screen instead of sharing your live link screen right now.
okay. 1 minute. Sorry.
Sorry about this, folks. We just one moment. Okay.
Yeah, it's right.
Much better. Okay, we'll switch
Yeah,
back
okay.
onto that one. My apologies for this,
Okay.
folks. Had a
Sorry,
couple of
guys.
technical issues popping up.
Okay. So I will first show before starting a step by step how to actually what will be the result we will going to see. So you can see this is the camera which is from Maya, and you can see the Unreal window parallelly working together. So you can see the camera movements. Same time, if I go and do the play, you will also see the animation which will be happen here. So we will basically live link both together, this character and this character. So let's start with plugin first. We will go to the just type in Google Maya live link github.com. So here you will get a plugin for Maya. In this window, you have to go to the releases. Inside that, you will get the folder called Maya live link zip. Inside that, once you go to that folder, I saved my folder here. So once you got that folder, you will get uh, previous version also, like 2016, 17, 18, and 19. Presently I'm working on 19, so I will show you where to copy the files. So your live link mod file go to the Maya live link, and the binary files will be go to the Maya plugins. So once you copy that files to Maya, Maya plugin will show you to activate that. So I'm just going and show you how to activate that plugin. So once you are here, you can check that my Maya Live Link plugin is already activated. So there is a two plugin, by the way. One is Maya Live Link MLL and Maya Live Link Python. So both are activated. Once that done, I will just off my geometry to show you activated the plugin. So in the script editor, you just have to copy this command. You will get that copy command in your download folder also, like in the README documents. If you check here, there is a installation guidelines, and here they already mentioned this command. So I'm just going and switching to that command. So yeah, that's straightforward. Like once you install your plugin, you will get this Maya Live Link window. So your Maya is throwing the signal. Now we will switch back to the Unreal, how to activate it plugin there. So I will go back to the Unreal. My present, if you can see, there is no live link window over here, which can show. Uh, so I will go to window and I will activate my plugin from here, which is live link. So your live link is activated, like same like Maya. So if you say parallelly, your this window for Max Maya and this window for Unreal. Only thing you have to do once you activated this window, you have to say message bus source, and you have to choose your computer which is you want to link. So in this case, I linked already this Maya line link in range 01. So you can see the signal are already activated, right? So once I done that, it automatically start reacting my camera. You will not get to see because your camera is default. I will show you how you connect the cinematic camera first to connect with the Maya, and then we go step by step to the character. So first thing is first, to show some option, I created one camera over here, which is camera one, and I will just show with that some. So this is my camera one, and here in Unreal, Uh, normally, when you see a default window, you will find a default viewport. But what I want is my camera has to be connect with my Maya camera. So I created simply a Cine camera actor. You can create that from here, like Cine camera actor. Just drag and drop your camera, and you will get it in your outliner. So how I should connect this camera with my Maya camera? So my information is already passing from here. That for camera, I don't have to add that camera because Unreal takes by default camera from Maya camera. So that information I'm getting here, you can see editor active camera. So that information Maya is passing and you are receiving in Unreal. So now the function I have to connect is this camera to my Cine camera. So what I had done, I just created a Cine camera. In Cine camera, I created one controller which is called, you can see live link component controller. You can add that from here, live link component controller. So that I already added. So I'm just showing you how to tweak this property. So once you click on camera, under camera, live link controller, you can choose what camera should be connected with your Cine camera. So I am choosing the by default camera coming from Maya, and other properties can be by default. So as soon as I do that and I switch to the Cine camera actor, you can see my viewport is automatically connected. And the cool thing about it is not only transform value and other things you can see in the Unreal, but same time if I change my lens, like if I don't want 35 and I'm doing my shot in Maya from 50, the same lens will be, sorry, this type 5, but it might be 50 or maybe 25. So that lens is also getting reacted on the Unreal. So my all the values from this camera is getting passed over here. So that's the first thing I want to show, like how to connect your Cine camera with your Maya default camera. Second thing is what we are looking is how to export your character from Unreal Maya to Unreal, and then how to connect both together. So here is the one Mixamo character which I downloaded from the Nate. It's pretty cool dancing action what she is doing. She's little fast because I'm playing on real time. But again, this is simple character model. First, I imported a simple FBX file, and then I imported the animation. So I am getting this 70 frame animation over here. To do live link this character to Unreal, first I have to go in my live link window. I just have to check my upper node control bone hierarchy node and add selection. You just make sure that it doesn't have any prefix in your hierarchy, because Unreal respect the same prefix name what you are throwing from Maya. So it will be better if your prefix are as clean as looks here, right? Like heap and spline, and hierarchy has to be also respectable, which can work in Unreal. So same thing I had done. Like once I had done this thing, I added this hip control in my live link window in Maya. So same thing has happened. Like my Maya is started throwing the information about the character to the Unreal. And in Unreal, I imported actually same character over here, which is the Erica. Uh, is downloaded from net. Uh, Okay. So this is the character FBX file, which I already imported in Maya. Now I imported in the uh, Unreal. It's a simple, straightforward process. Like you have to go to the import and import character with the skeleton. So that thing I had done here. Now I want to connect this character to the Maya character. So I will just go here in not this window, just preview window. I will go to the preview, live link preview control, and then I will choose what bone I should connect with this hierarchy. So if you see in live link, it is already showing that this heap is connected, which is we done from here, like its character heaps. Okay. So you can see that heap is already come in my Unreal Live Link window. So I will just choose that as a my controller. And yeah, let's go. Like, and you just have to check the enable camera. So your Maya camera will be synced with this window. So now if you see, I will just close down this window. Sorry. Uh, yeah. So once you connect both these things together, you can see your camera is moving as per your Maya. Same way your animation you can see here. Okay, you can play also and check that, right? But again, this thing you can see in this editor window, not in the viewport. What we want is like to see all these actions in viewport. So basically, then you can, uh, compare that with set and, any connection. So I will just save that. I just shown this how it comes in the Unreal, but now we will see how to actually take this into the viewport. So what I had done, once I had done this, uh, there is a blueprint, I guess. Yeah. I already created this blueprint, but I will show you how to create this blueprint. You just go to your character, which is your uh, imported character over in the editor. Go to the right click, create, and create anim blueprint. So that will be create a blueprint which you have to edit. I just created that and actually paste in my blueprint folder. So I will just show you from there. Sorry, guys. Okay. So I already created that blueprint by selecting the character. I will just delete this and I will show it to again. Like for example, when you open the blueprint, you will get this default node over here. What we have to do is we have to do a right click and we have to type live uh, link pose, right? So this live link pose will be contain the data which you want to feed into this blueprint. So here I am just choosing my hip bone, which character is coming from live link, and I will connect here. So as soon as you do that, this information start passing to here. But then again, I have to change some attributes over here. Same what we have seen in the character uh, window, which is live link preview controller, again hips and enable camera. Yeah, boom. So your blueprint is now respecting whatever we are sharing from Maya, right? So you got it there. So now as per these two things, like your character is getting all this information, your blueprint is getting this information. So we will put this all information here. So I already, taken this character inside the viewport, which is from my imported FBX file. I just have to tweak some changes over here. Like in animation blueprint, we have to feed the blueprint which we have just created. So the character will be knows where he have to take the animation from. That's all. Once you do that and you check your window will be moved, your animation will be moved. Just last thing, maybe I will show you to later how to do this play window over here, but I will just play now to just get you idea. Yeah. So she's dancing. I will just chair close down, otherwise she will fall down. Maybe. Yeah.
Now, could you potentially elaborate to the viewers about how this works with regards to sequencer? So, if you're playing anything like this through
Yeah.
sequencer.
Okay, cool. So once you've done that, this is mostly on the play window. But if you want to take this in a sequencer, it's a very simple way. Like I think so. I already created that. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, sorry, I
I've
didn't mean
already
to. I didn't know you actually had this organized already. I didn't mean to
not a
shoot you
not a
ahead.
not a, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. So the same thing. I will just delete all the items from here to show you in the sequencer. So what I will do when you open a uh, maybe I can start from scratch new level sequence. So once you create a new level sequence, you just have to add your character over here. I will just stop this because that was what I was showing is in the play window. But if you want to see in the sequencer, you just select your character, you drag drop in a sequencer, and just yeah, you just put animation as a Erica animation. That's all you have to do. So once you play that, 1 minute. Maybe I have to take a camera over here. I will just take a cine camera actor also, so I can see my window. Yeah. Only thing is for this sequencer, I just have to play here. Yeah. So that is inside the sequencer. But yeah, suddenly you have to do the animation back and take it here, then there is a different technique. Right. So that was the one thing which I wanted to show. And second thing is like if I want to take any geometry and I have to, live link that with the Unreal command, I just have to create it one couple of blueprints here. One, there is a two blueprints which I created. One for the chair, which I'm going to show you, and second is for the cinematic play. Most of the time, when you play that cine camera in a play mode or maybe in a sequencer, it doesn't take the cine camera. So you have to tell, Unreal that when you anything plays as a play event happen, you take as a cine camera as your representative camera, so you can see via cine camera. That's one. And second, for the chair, this is the second part of the demo. Like if I have a geometry in Maya, which I want to connect in, Unreal. So how I should do that? So what I done, my assets are in the Maya, so I exported as a FBX, and I taken it in the here in Unreal. So I just drag drop my chair over here, right? And same format, like very simple basic steps. Like I will select that you know object which I want to live link to the Maya object, and I will add component. I will do live link controller, right? And once I do that, I will get some options called yeah, one step I missed, that I have to add that there in Maya. So in Maya, I will go to the live link window. So whatever object you want to connect between Maya to, Unreal, first thing you have to do is that you have to add in live link window so it can pass the information. So I'm added already. So my props is added in this window. And as soon as I do this, you will see that that will be reflect here as a, uh, chair. So that's added there. Now I will get the control where I can say my chair that you have to go with this object, which is coming from Maya. And again, the transform node and everything will be select by default. Okay. So if you can see now, if I go to the my uh, cinematic camera actor and I will move that chair. The chair will be moved. But again, there is some rotation issue which happens. So to fix that, we just write a very small blueprint where frame by frame it will be correct the rotation values. So I will show you just that blueprint. The blueprint is a chair rotation. So on event tick, I will just connect that. I disconnected it to showing propose. So on every frame, it will be change the rotation, whichever your requirement is there. In this case, I made a -90 and I will just compile and save it. And once I do this, maybe once I play that, yeah, my chair is straight now. So you can see my, window is, chair is moving, my character is playing. So yeah, that's sort of things which you want to see.
Cool. We've actually had a
Yeah.
question. Someone asked how many rigs can LiveLink support at once, and is there a tech limitation in doing so?
Not really. Basically, we tried with so far 2 rigs, but it's as much as your these connections are, are very like for example, this is a character which called hips. So might be there is some naming issues which we can reflect because in this file Maya, if you import same naming convention 2 rigs, that will be clash with each other. So we have to be make a little small blueprint where you have to take care of these naming issues of Maya hierarchy and Unreal. So we tried with 2 rigs and it was worked properly. We have to check if somebody have to try with some more rigs. Yeah, Krish.
Cool. Cheers.
Yeah. So I want to cover one more topic on the same way. Like this is one. See, like we have a 3 options so far as a early level. Like we can export as a FBX skeleton mesh, take it in Unreal as a bake animation. Or second is the live link which I showed you now. But what if your character rig is really doesn't support to the Unreal Maya live link? Sometimes what happens, some production house go too far to do their rigs and everything else, do add the deformation like station scotch clusters, maybe lattice and everything, and it's a requirement of production, nobody blames that. But in that stage might be sometimes it's possible that your rig can't directly go to the Unreal. So you might be not able to do a live link, or you might be not able to do a FBX skeleton export. So in that case you have to get up one solution more is like Alembic cache export, where you can export your character as a big data on the vertex. Like your character is nowhere need your deformers or nowhere need your skeleton. It just have their own data as Alembic cache, and then you can import into the uh, uh, Unreal. So I will just show you in then couple of minutes. Like I will go to the next level, which is pretty blank level basically, nothing else there. And imagine if I want to take that character, which is from Maya, to the Unreal. But sorry, but maybe I don't have a flexibility to do the FBX export or live link. In that case, I am going in the Alembic way. So I will just select my character. I will just close down this live link now. So this is the animation I want to take. And in this situation, I doesn't have a facial expression, but as much as whatever information you have, you can go while with this. So I will just select my geometry, all the geometries. So you can have a multiple geometries and you can have a combined geometry the way you want. And you can actually define in Unreal if you want to take a skeletal different geometries or combined geometry. I will show you that. So you have to go to the cache, uh, Alembic cache, and you have to export selection to the Alembic. Pretty much default option. You don't have to do anything else here. just some options which you might have to check. 1 minute.
It's worth noting that Alembic caches are generally used for either one of two areas. We see them in a lot of liquid sims and a lot of like pre-baked effects. But as well as that, it's reasonably common for some animators to want to use Alembic caches for aspects of their characters, but not necessarily their entire characters. For instance, in the initial Fortnite cinematic trailer that was released, alembic caches were used for the neck and upwards, whereas from the neck and downwards, it was still a basic skeletal mesh. This allowed for more fidelity inside of the like I said, this allowed for a higher level of fidelity for the characters overall, but it still meant that there was general control for the characters inside the engine. They just, wherever their shirt ended, would be where the alembic cache would take off.
Yeah, I agree, Krish. Like most of the time for particles and SFX scattering objects, it's more useful. Uh, yeah. So when we are exporting, like you have to take this couple of option in the note where you have to do UV right check on, right color sets, right face sets, and maybe I like that Ogawa option more than HDF FS. Somehow I'm getting pretty good result for this option. And these option basically are for your material. Like if you check that this character material in the hyper shade, it have a different material for all four objects. Like so you basically don't get your texture information by Alembic export. You get just a flat slot where you have to put your texture and shader. So, but you can understand once you export it how to put this slot. I will show you that. So, yeah, once you select all these four guys, I will just say export selection, and I will save my Alembic as a maybe Erica. Yeah, just live link Alembic Erica. I already created the ABC. I will just show you. It doesn't take really good much time. It actually do really fast. Initially, my worried was might be it will be take a really good time to export the Alembic cache, but it's really fast. And again, my poly count is light, so it's not taking some more time. But if your poly count is high, might be it will be sick sometime. So that was the role of Maya. Like you got everything from Maya, whatever you want. So we'll switch to the uh, Unreal. So in Unreal, I will just go to the Erica Alembic. I will right click and I will see import, or maybe from here, right? And I will import the Erica. So these are the options, which is really interesting options. Like Erica have a four parts of the characters, where she have a eyelashes, eye mesh, claws, and body. In some cases, because of lighting channels, you need some geometry differently, so you can control the lighting, or maybe any other reasons. Like you don't want your geometry as a combine, so you can just switch off like body, and you can take just claws. Or if you want like just body, not claws, so you can get uh, different items also as a different Alembic cache. So your basically cache will be the same, but in Unreal you can select that object differently. But if I don't want that, I want that, okay, my animation is freeze, everything is freeze. Here I just have to do the sequencer and lighting. Then I will not switch off any one of this. I will take all four. And these are the three options which give us flexibility what to do. Like for static mesh, if sometimes what happens, like in presentation, I just need this pose. So I maybe have to do a 360-degree, presentation for the client, or I need a particular angle for this just frame for, just promo poster or some of my profile. Then I can just choose this single frame instead of whole animation, or maybe I can choose a whole animation, but here I can define, okay, I just need a static frame of particular frame. So I will get the static frame. A second option is geometry cache. What exactly geometry cache do is it actually bake all your vertex data geometry on the model. Like you have a all the vertex have a frame by frame data. So it basically geometry is baked on a frame by frame base. It is also a good option, but if compared to geometry cache to skeletal, skeletal is always preferable as per my point of view, because first of all it gives a lower size. Like your geometry cache file size might be 100 MB, but your skeletal file size might be 25 MB. So whatever my calculation, it comes around 25% whatever your geometry cache file is. Also, you get some pretty good option in skeletal, like you can choose different geometry to import, and then you have some hair socket which you want to parent. Then skeletal geometries gives you option. So there are a couple of options which actually we can use with skeletal import. What is the skeletal import? Is skeletal basically takes every frame as a blend shape. Like if you have animation of 0 to 70, then every frame is a one morph target, and it will be blend from one frame to another, and it will be create you animation sequence, which is pretty light and pretty most of the time geometry cache doesn't work if your vertex count is changed. Sorry, skeletal morph is not doesn't work if you like for fluids and some particle effects, your vertex counts are not same. For geometry cache is very required that your vertex count doesn't change, it has to be static. Skeletal, again, I have that constraint that your vertex count has to be same. So character for character, face and sum of part which is not intersecting with each other, or for all of that things, skeletal will pretty good useful target. Other option pretty good as a default. I will just go here and rotate my model as a 90 because it's somehow if I take a default rotation value, it doesn't come a proper rotation. So I will do the import. Again, this will also not take much time. It will be quickly import. Uh, and once it is import, we will check some, how to do shading and everything else for starter. So I'm just, for example, if I just drag drop animation, it will be directly start playing. So there is nothing much I have to do here. Like you can see, I got the character same way what I had in a Maya. Right? I will show you how it will be animated. But before that, to give a just overview, how about the shading? Like if I want to do the shading of this character, what we can do like. So what we can do is might be, I don't know, I should have imported the yeah. So I might be have the maps. Yeah. So when you import the Alembic cache, your slots becomes like this. Like you had a five geometry as I explained in Maya. Like you had a body, you had a cloth, you had a eyelashes and eyebrows. So for slots, it will be give floor slots, but you have to manually understand that what material should go to the what slot. So again, I will just assign this. Oh, sorry. So as I said,
Well, that's
uh,
terrifying.
yeah, yeah. So you have to take your chances because it's a four materials. I can check that. But that's really not take time, like couple of minutes. Yeah. So she caught her cloth over there, and then now I will try with uh body maybe. Yeah, yeah. So okay, it will be refreshed. Uh, yeah. So we got the character same way what we are looking at Maya. I'm not putting now eyelashes and eyebrow material. I know you are smart enough to do that. So I will just quickly switch to the my sequencer. So I just make a new sequence maybe, or it might be that work. Let me see. So this not working. So okay, that's fine. I can create my new sequence. I will say just alembic maybe with import. Okay, cool. I will just drag drop my character over here, and I will add track and 1 minute. Oh, sorry, I taken my sequence inside my sequence. So I will take Erica animation, and here I will just add Erica animation, and yeah, that's all. So again, one way is a live link, and second is this. So this might be little faster, but yeah. So yeah, Krish, that's from my end.
Cool. Thanks a lot. That was great. Yeah, Alembic caches are really, really useful, but I really do want to stress that they're a bit of a sometimes thing. So like we do have that situation where they sometimes get a little bit abused in places they shouldn't be. Like developers may try and use Alembic hashes for like every cinematic, and that just takes up a lot of memory. So we generally try to kind of use them when appropriate and for the correct kind of effects. Is my general advice on that front. Karen, who did you want to go up next?
We'll have Vivek going next.
Mm-hmm.
So Vivek is going to cover how to bring in your cameras as FBXs
Mm-hmm.
from yeah from Maya to Unreal.
Cool. Thank you. Just waiting on the screen share there, Vivek.
Yeah. Just a second.
Thank you. Here we go.
Are we good?
Yeah. Take it away. It's all yours.
Thank you. So now we are going to look at how we can bring in camera from Maya to Unreal. So I have set up a quick and small scene for all of us. So this is a nice sequence with the camera move. Let's see how we can take this to Unreal. Like, we should select the camera. Here we have this new sweet little tool called Game Exporter. It's the same thing as FBX Exporter or any other thing, but this is just a streamlined tool which Maya is providing us. So it's helpful. So for a normal static mesh or skeletal mesh, we should go into this tab. But for us, since we are importing animation data, we just go here and the animation clips. And then we select the range. Here you can have multiple ranges, but for us, for this particular exercise, we just need our time range. So we already have that from start to end frames. Here you should have a bake animation that helps us stabilize, like bake the frames automatically. Now we should put a proper path. And this is, let's name it cam and export. Yeah, so it's done. So now let's go into this level. So I have already set this for us. You can see like we have the same scene here in Unreal. Let's import our camera. Right click on top of it, import. Here we just need to find we don't need the name match. We don't need to create a new camera. Just go with it. And that's it. We have a camera here, which is matching with our animation that we have made in Maya. Yeah, that's the camera workflow from Maya to Unreal.
Cool. That was very straightforward.
It's pretty simple and it's quite neat. Yeah, you can use your data, like you have a tracking data in Maya that you can easily bring in with this way. So it's quite helpful actually. Also, one quick thing which I found out, like if you are like in general in Maya, when you open this is as comparison to the sets when you are supposed to get, because of the scaling, you see this camera that small in the scene, which can be sometimes not visible and not like friendly useful enough. So you just sometimes we do go in and scale here. So I would suggest not to do that. Instead of this, you can go in and scale the locator to how much ever you want just to see. This is just the visual purpose, but sometimes if you scale it normally, that corrupts the camera. So yeah, that's a small thing to remember.
Cool. Well, that was very very straightforward. Were you
Thanks.
covering anything else, or are we passing this around again? This feels like
Yeah.
a bit like hot potato at the moment. We're just constantly switching between everybody. Um, but yeah, that's great. Out of curiosity, does a similar import pipeline work for camera shake animations, or have you never touched those?
No, I'm like camera shake animation, as in like that's what like any data that you have in Maya, which can be like you can bring in from your live plates, tracking data that can be like that can go through in the same process
Got it. Okay.
from Maya to yeah.
Okay. I was just curious. Well, look.
Yeah.
Let's keep this moving. That was really great. Thanks a lot for that.
Thanks.
Did anyone have any questions with regards to importing camera tracks just before we kind of close that and move on to the next thing? Was there anyone else? Okay. Well, in that case, let's keep things moving. Karen, who did you want to have up next?
Yeah, I'm gonna go next. Just give me a second.
Ah,
Share my
wonderful.
screen.
So Karen's actually doing some of the facial capture, which is really cool. So if you have, I think it's an iPhone 10 or above, or an iPad Pro, ARKit actually captures your face and has the ability to take those animations straight into Unreal. So I think Karen's going through that. I can't remember which other things you're going through for this session, but I guess we'll see pretty quick.
Yeah, yeah. Just give me a minute, Chris. I'll share my screen and
It's no problem.
be up and running in a second.
We've had a couple of people ask what the exporter was that was used. It was Game Exporter.
Yeah.
Sorry, and another question that was asked by Rat Racer, I suspect that's not your real name. Does it import things like focal length or clipping planes?
It does import your focal length, but the rest like yeah,
Oh.
it does import your focal length.
It does import focal length. But
Yeah.
Cool.
But you have the option of playback as you please inside Unreal. So that is another added benefit that you can get from Unreal, like utilizing the Unreal pipeline.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah, it does that.
Okay, Karen, how you looking?
Yeah. Good. Yeah, just let me share now.
Sorry, I didn't mean to panic you.
Yeah.
All right. Let's switch this over now. Sorry about that, folks. Didn't mean to go black. All right. So,
Okay.
Karen, we'll push it over to you now.
Yeah. You should see my stream coming in now.
Yeah, wonderful. Let's do it.
Okay. So yeah, on the right I have my I have my iPhone data. It's just a screen share from my iPhone, and I have a character up here loaded in Unreal. So
Oh, here we go.
it kind of takes everything, head rotation and all of that, and I'm running on Wi-Fi right now, so there is a little bit of latency with the screen share and all of that. But if you have an Ethernet cable, it's a lot better. But this is pretty robust, and then I'll break down this project and show you how some of it is set up and some considerations you should make. But it's pretty good. It does over 50 muscles on the face, right? Head rotation and all of that as well. You can kind of see it in action here. And if you're using this with a mocap kit, you may want to turn off head rotation because your motion capture suite is actually going to take over, the head rotation data, and that's typically at a much higher fidelity than you have here. Um, so yeah, just kind of this project itself, right? So I've made a few changes to the project from the Learn tab. I'll show you where that is, so you can get it. It already has the character and the rig set up. There are just a few things you have to change in this to make it compatible over here. So if you're setting up this in a blank project, right, there are a few plugins you need to enable first. So I'm just going to walk you through those.
It's worth noting that if you are going to use this, sorry to cut you off, Karen, just really quick. If you are going to use this, you really want to have a an uncluttered Wi-Fi network. There's a lot of data that is streaming through when you're doing it. I bring this up because we've seen really good results from either having a dedicated Wi-Fi network that's running 5G straight to it, or alternatively using the you can get an Ethernet adapter for your phone that you can just plug straight in to stream it through. It's worth noting that like the setup that we have right now, where Karen is streaming at 1080p at 60 FPS at the same time as bringing in the facial animations, is not a it's not a best case scenario. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, that's true. Um, Yeah, so Chris is absolutely right, right? You want to make sure you have an uncluttered Wi-Fi. Another good consideration is, make sure you're using a 5 gigahertz router. Oftentimes we've noticed this, even with like our perception neuron motion capture suite. If you're running on, a 2 point something gigahertz Wi-Fi, you'll see that, you know, things really start to get messy and you have a lot more jitter. So in motion capture, you want to, have the cleanest data you can get, and Wi-Fi shouldn't be one of the reasons your data quality is going down. Under the hood, the data is being transferred via live link, right? So this is Unreal's new app. It's really awesome. It saves a lot of time. Earlier, if you had to go through this process, right, you would have to compile an iOS app yourself, which is kind of painful, and you do need an Apple developer license, and you need to like have, a proper pipeline to deploy your phone on, an app onto your phone. So this, now you all, like, I'm running on a Windows machine right now, and it's very straightforward. So once you have, your phone. So here, this is a screen share from my phone on the right over here. So it's, all you really need to do is, so I'm gonna go to the settings section over here. So once you go into settings and live link, and the target is what you need to set. So the target is the IP address on your computer, and if you're confused about where to find that, you can just go to command prompt and type in IP config, right? And yeah, it's the IPv4. That's all you really need. Um, over there, right? And that kind of does it. So once you put that in over here, you don't even need to change the port. By default, it should work at 1111. So that's like all you have to do on, the iPhone to get it running. There are more complex options if you're trying to do, time code and have it run through some external time code hardware. But if you just want to get up and running quickly and you don't have all that hardware and all you have is, your iPhone and, like a computer that's running Unreal Wi-Fi, you just put in that, and then, uh, at least on the app, that's all you need to do. I'm not going to go through all the settings on the app today, but I am going to show you how to set up, you know the project in Unreal and what needs to be done over there. Ryan Maeda from Epic just did another talk on this app very recently, where he talks a lot more about the options for time code and how you can use, additional hardware, and also potentially OSC instead of, Wi-Fi. So he uses OSC over Bluetooth. So if you're more interested in checking out the settings on this specific app, I'd recommend that talk. But over here, yeah. So when you open any blank project over here, you want to make sure you have the two ARKit plugins set up, right? So the Apple ARKit and then Apple ARKit face support. You need them both, right? And then you also want to have live link, right? So you want the live link plugin to be enabled, and also the live link curve debug UI. This is, useful for you to visualize data that's coming in. So that's 4 plugins, and the other one you need is, take recorder, of course. uh, so you can capture the data that's coming in and just send it straight to sequencer as well. And if you're linking anything else to this, take recorder is important. And the last one you need is time data monitor, right? This is again more for things on the time code side. And you can just verify your sources, and you can account for any delays that are happening and things like that, through the time data monitor. um So over here, this character, what's happening under the hood is this data is, so once you've got it all set up over here, this is kind of similar to what Vijay covered, right? Once you go to, you know, your live link target over here and it's set, right? Once your target is set correctly, it just shows up as a source by default over here, right? So it's going to show up over here, and the name of your iPhone, all of that comes through as well. So it's pretty easy to set up. It's just a single source over here, and you need to make sure that this data is now being fed to your animation blueprint as well. So it's similar to what Vijay had explained earlier. So this is the character here, and this is the skeletal mesh, right? So it's being driven by this animation blueprint.
For the record, the
Uh,
longer you talk, the more likely I am to forever associate your voice with that little kid, and I'm not sure if that's something I want. It's
let me focus more on the blueprint. Yeah. So you need to make sure you have this live link pose node over here and just connect it. So yeah, live link pose, and then just make sure you're selecting the right subject. And in this case, the subject is going to be your iPhone that's streaming the data to the PC. Um, and over here, I mean, this is again from the sample Epic project, so this is a good resource. So what if I were to summarize this animation blueprint, right? What it's doing is it's taking all the ARKit data and it's driving morph targets in Unreal using that. So all of this is coming from the ARKit face uh, code, and it's just handling that. And if you actually look at you know over here, so you can always get a preview of it as well. And yeah, it's just controlling these values right under the hood. This is what's happening. So these are the morph targets for the character, and then it's taking the relevant ARKit data and then just controlling these. And this is a very this has a lot of morph targets in comparison. But even if you have about 8 or 10 and a simpler character, like you may not want like maybe a squint or something like that. So based on how your facial rig is set up, you don't need all the 50 plus data fields that are coming from ARKit. You can get by with less depending on the complexity of your facial rig. But this is the one Epic provides is a really good starting point, and it's really worth exploring to see how you can get control.
it's just to clarify. I mean, so in this case, it's moving the morph targets and such, but you can actually move bones as well, right? Like at the end of the day, it is just the data being cycled
Yeah,
through. Because I believe
absolutely.
that there are some folks that recommend shifting the jawbone for certain
Yeah.
characters.
Yes, yes. So you can do that. So the head rotation is actually has nothing to do with morph targets, right? Like when you do turn on the head rotation, it has nothing to do with that with the morph targets as such. So yeah, you can use that data to drive it however you want, right? So that's completely up to you. This is just one way it's set up. Um, and just one thing that you might want to do, right, in your project settings, right? To really optimize this. And this is true for even what Vijay covered earlier about Alembic, right? So these caches can be heavy, right? And so you want to make sure you have this checkbox selected, right? So it sends all the calculation for computing morph targets to your GPU. It offloads that and frees up your CPU thread. Uh, so this is really, really important when you are using, a bunch of morph targets, and especially if you have, multiple characters and things like that. It can add up very quickly. So if you've got a nice beefy GPU, it makes sense to offset some of these calculations there.
Cool. Cheers.
Yeah. Uh, cool. So, I think what we're going to do next is just see how we can quickly bring some of this into a sequencer, right?
Sure.
So
We have had one question. Kim Allen has asked, said, this looks like a great way of getting a solid base starting point, but can you pass it back to Maya? So can you export the information that you've got from here?
Yeah, absolutely, right. So there are a bunch of things that will accelerate that process. So one is you can export an FBX animation from sequencer. I'll show you that in a bit. I'll show you the export. um but also, right, on the iPhone you can choose to have so when you're in the app and you hit record, when I hit record here, what's going to happen is it does actually save a video on my phone, and along with that video you can also have a CSV file save that has all the values that are going from ARKit as well. And your rig could your facial rig could be set up in Maya. So there's a, a bunch of ways to have the raw data as well as the exported animation from Unreal.
It's also worth noting that a common setup for this kind of stuff is actually anchoring to a slightly closer point. There's a great video that was by Kite and Lightning that I think Alex has a link for, where they were actually doing their facial capture was with a like they had bicycle helmets with a pole, and then the phones just kind of sat in front of them here, and that seemed to get a really great result.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I think the proximity. So right now my phone is kind of on my desk over here. Uh, but yeah, having I think there's a really good professional one that on-set facility sells as well. It's perfect for the iPhone. It's really light, and there's no occlusion. So even my headphones actually, right? Um, I feel like even this microphone here does affect the tracking data a little bit. So these are a few things you want to be, when you're doing this for an actual film. You want to make sure there's as little uh, any sort of occlusion should be avoided. And also, a funny thing I've noticed is when I've tried this with people who are clean shaven, it works much better. So I think the tracking data is a little better. My beard doesn't really help that. So yeah, there are some of these things in terms of your physical hardware setup that are considerations to make. So while the app runs really smoothly, things like Chris mentioned earlier about the Wi-Fi, and even now about the physical setup, these are all things you should keep in mind to really improve the quality of the data you're going to get.
Like, I don't want to treat you like a performer or anything, but are there any like extreme facial expressions that you could just be help give us an idea of the scope of what it does, like wider mouth
Yeah,
movements and things like that? That you,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
asking
sure.
you to pull faces at me, which is weird, but just so we can see them more. There we go.
Yeah, and let me turn on
Okay.
the head rotation as well over here, right, and just go back. Yeah, so you can get really animated, and it's pretty, even for things like squinting, right, or just a subtle, cheek twitch that comes through,
Cool.
like, yeah, my nose, if I, yeah, so
Thanks, Karen. Sorry, I
yeah.
didn't. I know this was in the job description, but it
No,
helps
no,
give a better idea.
no, absolutely happy to help. Yeah, and I think the quality, the capture of it, the true depth camera on the iPhone is really good. The technology is actually similar to some of the older Kinect sensors that used to be shipped with the older Xboxes. So it's very much like they've managed to integrate some great technology into this.
The people in the chat are saying you're great and you got the part. So
Oh, thank you.
yeah, the
Thank
audition.
you. Yeah. Yeah. If I ever fail as an Unreal dev, I think I have a backup option. So thank you. Yeah. If you want me to be a part of your short, I'm happy to. We can do this remotely. So if you need me for my great facial capture performance, I will happily volunteer for that.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Okay. All right. So yeah, just a little bit about the setup now here. And again, my iPhone is not in the best place possible. So forgive the quality of the capture with the Wi-Fi and all of that. Um, but in Take Recorder, right, there are a few things you want to make sure you have selected as sources, right? So one is I always like to select the skeletal mesh as well over here. So you just do that by adding a source. And if you've not used Take Recorder before, right, just if you want to select an actor quickly, just make sure you have it selected in your world outliner as well. And when you go up here as a source, it's typically the first option that's there, right? So that's how I got that in here. And then uh, the and from live link, so that's where the iPhone shows up, right? So those are the two that you really want to have in there, and anything else that you're trying to capture as part of your take should you should try and include that.
We've had someone ask, can you do the cleanup in Unreal or just the capture?
So you can actually do some cleanup in Unreal, because again, you will have access to the raw, the values for the morph targets, right? So you can see those are just variables, so you can clean it up in that fashion. And there are things you can also do to limit, right? So like I've noticed that there is sometimes something funky that happens with the head rotation, right, where it gets like this, right? So these are things
That's
you may
something
want to
I didn't
avoid.
need to ever see.
Yeah. Yeah, it is disturbing, which is why it but for things like that, you can actually clamp some of these values, so you don't have extreme rotations like that. So those are all things you can do, so that leaves less for cleanup. But yes, you can always clean up your data.
Cheers.
Okay, cool. 1 minute, I'm just gonna orient my iPhone a little better for this. Okay, so I've already hit play, right? So once I can just go to take recorder and stop, and I can just browse to my take. And so yeah, I've already got this in sequencer now.
Wonderful. And that has 5 tracks, I can see. So
Yeah,
what
yeah.
information is that tracking inside?
Right. So one thing you want to do, right, by default, this is locked. So if you find that you're not able to edit these values, just make sure you unlock it in sequencer, and then you can really go under the hood, right? And then what I was talking about. Yeah, so you'll see under the animation, that's really where most of your data is coming. But you and you also have access to the CSV data, and you can also have recorded video. So when you're cross referencing the actual face data, then you can kind of clean it up over there, right? So those are all things you can do, but most of it is currently just under this asset here under the animation. So yeah, that's like a quick run through. If you want to learn more about the settings on the app, especially if you're trying to do things with timecode, like you can see it over here, um, and it tells you the quality of your data right now, right? So it gets synchronized with the way my connection is, right? It's not running as well as it should, so you can kind of see it going out of range occasionally. uh, so these are all things you can improve with hardware.
It's probably worth
And then
noting that the hands in front of the face aren't helping either.
that was, sorry. Yeah, so that's a quick run through of this, and like I said, it's pretty easy to integrate in your projects. And if you're looking for the project to start with, right, to just if you're trying to understand the animation blueprint, right, because that is the one thing you really need to understand. um so I would recommend downloading this one, the face AR sample, right? Once you have this, then it's pretty straightforward, because the only thing you have to change, as I mentioned earlier, in the animation blueprint is just this part over here. You put in this node and replace the old one that was there, and then you just, yeah. So this is the part you should really try and understand well, as to how the morph targets are being set.
It's worth noting that, like, yeah, those values are the ones that are defined by Apple. So, uh, as long as you have the same names for Apple, like, it should just work straight out of the box. Otherwise, you need to, unfortunately, go through and custom bind them.
Yeah,
But,
yeah, that's right.
but as long as you're matching them, I believe it's fine.
Yeah, that's correct, Chris. Yeah. So
Cool. Nice work.
Cool. All right. Yeah, that's all I've got. Any
Someone
more
asked.
questions?
Someone asked if you could demonstrate manipulating a morph target in there. I think they mean manipulating a morph target from the sequence that was recorded.
Oh, okay, okay. Sure. I haven't actually tried manipulating that, so let me see. I'm
Oh,
not
sorry, I'm putting you on the
sure where
spot.
where that data goes. I just haven't had to do it yet. Yeah, I think I may need to do some experimenting with that first because I've never tried cleaning up. I'm not an animator, so I haven't tried cleaning
No,
up
no,
animation data.
that's fine.
But yeah, I'll do some digging. I'll try and get back in the chat about that question.
Sure. In the meantime, who's up next?
So we have Samik, who can cover control rig, and then we can circle back to Yuri in the end, who can, I think his computer is up and running now, so we've been able to but I think we can start with Samik, and he can run through control rig.
Yeah, great. Okay. Well, in that case, we'll switch over. Thanks a lot for that. That
Okay,
was great.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, thank you.
Just switch through. So Samik's running through Control Rig. Now, Control Rig is Unreal Engine's new animation toolset that we use. So you can actually make your own animations in Unreal now, but alternatively, you can use them for kind of cleanup, for filling in the gaps, and moving forward. I think Control Rig is going to be one of the most exciting new additions and developments for Unreal. So we'll switch over to your stream, although at the moment it looks like your stream is capturing. Does look like your stream is capturing not your screen, but.
Oh, shall I just capture my screen?
Yeah. Just capture your screen, and we'll switch over.
Capture my Unreal screen, right?
Sure.
All right. So.
And we'll plug over. So all of these gentlemen were used to using Zoom. I had to drag them into Discord for today, but Discord does a substantially higher resolution and frame rate. So we've had to give everyone a crash course in this just before the stream, which has had mixed results as we've demonstrated. So my apologies, folks. But here we go. We're up and running.
Hello, guys. So I don't know if you're aware of not, but Control Rig is a very new feature that a plugin basically that Unreal Engine have introduced in 4.25. And what Control Rig lets you do is it lets you create animation using control the same way you create animations over in your Maya or any other external application using some of the control that you can move, rotate, translate, scale, drag around, and you can program them. Basically, you can program bunch of control to implement to execute the rotation and transformation of multiple bones at a time. You can program your facial controls to move your facial muscles. You can do IK and FK, and that is going to be very helpful for moving your arms and leg muscles and all very realistically. And all that you can do right within your Unreal Engine. You can create an entire animation in Unreal Engine without having to go to any other external application. But please note that Control Rig is currently in beta stage, so it is not yet production ready. So once the future versions of Unreal Engine is released, it is hopeful that a lot of the bugs that are there and a lot of the features that are just half implemented but not completely implemented is going to be more useful for us. But today I'm going to demonstrate what are the potential of Control Rig and how you can quickly get started doing with that. So if you go to your edit and plugins and type for your Control Rig, so you get this plugin. So I have enabled.
Hang on one sec. I think your screen is just sharing Unreal. I don't think you're sharing your Control Rig. All I can see on your screen is the demo map still.
Oh, okay. 1 second.
Okay, sorry about that. We'll quickly load in.
Yeah, Chris, while that's on, I've got the curve editing stuff set up, so I can just run through that quickly.
I think we'll come back to you, Karen, because it looks like he's all sorted, and I feel like we're mid-sentence. Sorry, we'll come back to it though.
All right. So if you can see over here,
much better.
Yeah. If you can see over here, you see this Control Rig plugin. You have to enable it, and it comes with a bunch of examples, if you go to your Unreal Engine Epic Games launcher, and if you move your towards the marketplace tab, free Epic Games content. Yeah, you see this control rig mannequin. So this is a project they have created for us, and this you can quickly look around and get started understanding how the control rig works. So first I am going to demonstrate uh, the folder structure they have and the control rig blueprint that they had created for us. So this is the yeah, they have given us this blueprint. You can see if this is the folder you get when you open that project. This is the folder control rig folder you get, and here you can see this blueprint inside this control rig option. You see this mannequin underscore control rig. If you double click and open that, yes, yep, you see they have created this set of controls for us, and I can quickly, so this is your controlling blueprint. If you're familiar with your animation blueprint or your normal any other blueprint or any other node editor that you have in Unreal Engine, so you can quickly familiarize yourself with this editor. So here is our viewport where I can see our changes. This is the hierarchy, our bone hierarchy that I see over here, and we are also going to create something like this from scratch, and so that you have a better understanding what each and every node or elements do here. And here, this is your control hierarchy, which contains all the controls that Epic Games have created for us. And this is your graph. So this will be having all the nodes and all the program that you're creating, so that because by default the controls will not do anything. You have to write a bunch of logic that is going to be helpful when you want to assign the control or map the control with some of the bones. So here, for example, this foot and basically this toe control, these all are part of the this foot IK. And if I press W for my translate option and move around, you can see this foot rotate, moving forward. So because this IK is set up, and if you see this this spine bone, spine control, if I rotate this, or if I rotate my head, so I can see the bones or the actual head is already rotating. So this is coming from this node. So this is your FK node, which these are all your FK algorithm, which is actually getting the control, transform this control with this blueprint and setting the transform the actual bone. And this is your spine control, which is basically doing the same thing. It's creating the transform the respective control that they have created here and setting the respective bone. But this is something which is different. This is the IK node that they have given for these arms. They have 4 IK nodes, one for each arm and one for each leg. So I can quickly see this IK already existing and working. So, and these two are your IK nodes, and these two are your basically your FK nodes, where they are controlling, where they are manipulating both the left foot control as well as the left ball control. So this is your left and right ball control. If you can hold that and you rotate this, so you will see my toe. My toe is rotating in this particular pivot. And when you move this, so this is basically the foot control is basically for it's parenting this and this pivot control and this ball control. Basically this is moving as so that the ball and pivot is already also moving, and this will do the same thing. Basically the ball control, when you are moving around, so you are getting the same IK controls over here. So if I go back to my map and I quickly drag this up, I will delete this one, and I will quickly drag this up here. Now here I see a sequencer is already created, and I believe it is by default it's automatically created and saved in your content browser parent folder in your topmost folder. It is already saved so that you can use it again later. So now once you have these controls in your level, you can quickly animate them. So I have this auto key. If you are familiar with sequencer, you know this auto key set. is set up. So this will automatically, when I move modifying some control, this will automatically, create a key value. So by default, so this is we don't have any key over here. So I will just create a root key for our root control, and I will move this around a bit. I will hold my with my root control selected. I will drag this, and this creates another key automatically. Now if we see, I have successfully created one key. So this you can do for each and every node you find. So if you want to actually create a walk animation, for example, so you can basically, yeah, remember that before you actually make any animation for any control, you create a key for the at first to create the to initialize the animation control's initial location, because once you modify the control, the new key is going to be applied throughout your timeline. So you don't want that. So I will, if I want to move this right control, I will create a key for the right foot control first at the beginning of my animation, so that it now knows from this key it has to move. Otherwise, that final key is going to replace my initial position also when at the beginning of the animation. So now if I move over there, and if I drag it up here, and also, yep, now you see I have successfully created a very basic simple animation of which is moving my toe, and also so if you move it over here, if you drag this also, yep. So I can do the same thing for my pelvis. This is my pelvis control. So I can, where is my pelvis control? Yeah, this one. So I can do the same thing. I create a key initially, then when I am up here, okay, so when I'm up here, I will just sit down a bit. Yes. So this creates another control for me. And now you see I have created something like this.
This
So
is some
pardon.
definite programmer art.
So I am not an animator, so pardon this really crappy looking animation.
That's
so,
fine.
so yeah,
It proves the point. That's the important part.
yeah. So although I do believe when I spend hours on it, I will come up with a much better animation. So anyway, and like if you want to use this animation already as a pre-baked animation sequence, simply go over here and right click, and you create an animation sequence. It is going to ask me for the path where I want to save it, and it has saved my animation sequence. Pardon this really the bug that you see over here. It is offsetting the root. Like I told, not everything is perfect within your control rig plugin. So we can quickly fix that. Actually, I can go over to my skeleton, and I can reset my skeleton position. Yeah, I can reset my skeleton position. I can hit the key option here and hit apply. So this creates a curve. This creates a curve for my root. You can see this curve over here. So if you are not familiar about this curve editor, there are plenty of tutorials available which typically teaches you the entire animation control that they have. And also mind you that they have completely changed a lot of features that is already present in the animation control when it comes to Unreal 4.25. So 4.25, they are basically remade many things from scratch in your animation editor. So and it actually is very flexible right now for us to quickly create and this key apply and create new animation. Even even without control rig, you can create your own animation with this by modifying some of the bones by setting key, hitting apply, and creating this curve editor. But yeah, obviously with control rig things are much much more enhanced, because now you can also do the IK setup along with that. Along with this, so this will not let you create any IK setup right here, but over here in your control link, when you're creating this advanced node for the IK, and there are other nodes that I will be showing, demonstrating. So with this, you get a lot of flexibility. And But yeah, so you also have the option to for runtime controls. I will also be demonstrating a bit of how this will work with the animation blueprints. But currently at this current stage, I will not say that it's very useful with the animation blueprint, because animation blueprints already comes up with its own set of IK nodes has already been well proven and very much stable and have been used by a lot of games over the years. And so this has a lot of bugs that we also be seeing some of the bugs that comes with the runtime controls. But for now, what I am going to do, I am going to create one control rig from scratch, so that you get a basic idea of the various nodes it has and how you can make the best use case of it. Because not necessarily that you will have a mannequin for your project. You may have a dragons or some four-leg character or some spiders. So you need to know a bit about the programming part of it in order to be able to make best use of it in your project. So yeah, since I have this plugin enabled, so when I go to animation, you get this new set of options over here. So I will be choosing this one, control rig, and this comes with only one parent class. But if you want to extend this rig, like for example, you may not be happy with some of the features, and if you're a C++ programmer, it's possible that you want to extend some of the features to and dig deeper in the code side of it. So in that case, you can create your own control rig class. I had created mine, and in for our own company, and we are doing something like that, where we had created an extension of this control rig. So if you create an additional control rig actor, that's going to also come up over here. So this interface is going to let you choose which parent class you're looking for. So I will be choosing this one, control rig class, because this is the only class that you get. So I will choose create, I will name it, and I will open. All right, this does not have anything. This does not have any mannequin. You only see one node. This is the most important node, because all the execution is happening from this output node. You have to connect it from this node, whatever node you want to execute. And if you do not want to execute any certain part that you have written at certain point of time, you can disconnect it and keep it there. First thing that I am going to do is import a hierarchy, import a skeleton. So I will select import hierarchy, and I will be choosing the mannequin that come. There are two mannequins actually. One that is coming with the control rig, this control rig project, and one that I have with for my third person controller. That is coming. It's a game mannequin character mesh. So I will be choosing that. Press OK. Let's give it a time. Yes. Now you see a skeleton has been imported, and this is your bone structure that you can see over here. And we can begin creating our first control right now. Krish, can you just give me a minute? Yeah, I will just sorry for that. I'm back. So yeah, so what I was showing. Okay, so this is my viewport, and you see my bone structure. But now I'm going to create my first control. So you can either create a control as a child control of any of a parent bone that you see over here by simply selecting a particular bone and right clicking and creating this new option, selecting this new option, and you can create a new control. So but I want to create a control in an empty space. I don't want to have it any parent, because parenting a control will come up with its own problem. Like whenever the bone will move, the control will automatically move along with it. So you cannot move it separately if it's already attached with a particular bone. I agree that has some of the advantages in certain cases. But for today's demonstration, to keep it simplest as possible, so we are going to create a control which just at the top level hierarchy. So I'm just going to select new and select new control. So I'm going to name it as a root control. So you see this circle which has appeared over here. So this is my gizmo that represent my root. Right side you see my details panel, and here in the below section you see the gizmo enable. So I can select it to hide this gizmo, and this gizmo name, it can choose the how the gizmo will look like. So I want to make it a hexagon thick. So now my gizmo more looks more like it's a root control, and I can yep, hit OK. Yes, I changed my gizmo color. So this is the gizmo transform. This is actually not going to change the actual control transform, but rather it's going to change the transform this particular gizmo so that it will be, I mean, convenient for you. If if some of the gizmo can, when you are parenting a gizmo, or when you want to base a gizmo, when you want to map a gizmo with a bone, and you may not like the rotation of this of that particular gizmo, you can change the rotation to say 90 degree over here, and that gizmo will come at an alignment that you're looking for. So this is the gizmo transform is going to be very useful. For root control, we are fine with that. We don't need a transform. So over here, you see two sets of transform. One is the initial transform, one is the current transform. What does this to mean? So initial transform is very first transform of your control, and it's not going to be calculated per every frame. So this begin execute is going to be calculated every frame that is control rig blueprint is going to be executed. So whatever logic you give, any modification, anything that happens, anything you do with your controls, this is going to get fired. But that will not change your initial transform. So initial transform is very useful if you want to say set an offset of this control. So if you are setting this offset, and so and may want your root to be positioned here initially. But now you see the current transform. What is the current transform? Is means current transform is currently where this root is at. So this is not my, so wherever I'm placing the key. So whenever I'm I mean whenever I'm placing the key over here, so this root has shifted from here to here. So now for this particular node, if it say it already has some animation, so now this root will be having its initial control set over here because I have already applied a key over here. But over here in control rig blueprint, when you hit compile, now it's going to get reset because my initial control has not yet been set. It's still 0 0 0. I was only setting its current control, current transform. It gets reset in my when I hit compile. So compile will only take your initial transform, not your current transform. So you have to, so to change your initial transform, either you can do it from here, or you can say, for example, okay, I will be creating a new node altogether. I will be creating a new control for my head rotation. So let's create a control called. So when you create a control, you see when you create a control based on some parent bone, you see this control space. So what is a space? A space is a intermediate transformation that can be used to set the offset of a control, but it's not actually moving the control around. So okay, got it. So you can have this space over here. You do not want to have it. You do not have to have it. This having a space is not mandatory, but it's a good to have because if you want to have some offset for your control, initial offset, you can do that with the space. For now, I do not need a space. I will delete that, and I will parent this new control to my root control, and I will rename this as head control. My head control gizmo is also coming over here. I want to make it a circle thick. I do not want it to be positioned over here, but I would rather want it to position near my head. But when I move it and I hit compile, it's going to reset back to its original position. So how do I fix that? I move it over here. I move it over here and I will right click and I will option. There are two options: set initial transform from current and set initial transform from closest bone. Set initial transform from current is going to set your initial transform to this transform, whichever transform we are at, and set initial transform is going to closest bone is going to snap this transform to the whichever bone it finds nearest. So yeah, you see the head orientation has also been replaced when I snapped it. So I can fix that with by setting the rotation as 90 over here. So this is what it's useful. So but you do not have to do it. You could have simply done this, set initial transform from current, and it wouldn't have oriented with the bone. So, but either it's fine. You can set it either from gizmo or you can set the initial rotation from here also. It doesn't actually matter much. But what matters is when I hit now, when I hit compile, it's going to be there. But this is too big for my control. I will reduce the scale. Yep. Let us reposition it maybe to 3.5. Yep, this is perfect. I will reposition this control a bit and again set initial transform from current. So now I have to actually move, I want to move these controls. I want to move the respective bones when these controls are moved. Now this will not be actually moving my bone or anything. So for that, so what I want to do first I want to get its transform and I want to set the root transform based on this. So for that I will right click and I will get the control transform option. And I will choose it as root control. I will set transform. So set transform is means I now want to set my transformation of one of the bones. So I will choose this. I will set the transform value here. And this propagate to children means it's also going to affect my children, and that's what I want. I want the entire body to move and not just the bone. So I will select it and I will choose root and I compile. Now if you see, it's moving with my root is also moving with my transform. All right. So I want to do the same thing with my head, but I do not want to translate my head. I want only rotate, because if I want to translate my if I do translate my head, if I do something like that, copy of this. Propagator children is fine. This head doesn't have any children, so it's fine. I will change it back to head. And you see what just happened over. Yeah, so I will switch back to just the rotation and not the transformation itself. So this is what I was talking about. I only need rotation, get control rotated, and not the transfer, because I do not want to translate my head back and forth. I only want to rotate it. So I will switch back to control and set rotation. I want to rotate my head bone. So this rotation takes a different value and does not take this value. What I want to do, I want to make from rotator, this one. So this is not what I want. I will just setting the over here. I will switch back my gizmo. Yes. And right click, set initial transform from current. Perfect. Now if you see this, oh, initial transform from current. pardon the axis. I think the axis needs to be fixed. Anyway, so this is how you do it. You get the control rotator over here, and you can set the corresponding rotation. Oh, I understand what was going wrong. I had set this to local space. This should be actually global space. Yeah. Now it's going to be fine. Yes. Now it's going to be fine. I will set 90. Yes. Now it's fine. So what this global space means? Global space does not actually mean your world space in your viewport. So whenever you are in this world, your head, global space of your head will actually not mean that it's the absolute location, but it means that it is the global space of rather this confined blueprint in its within itself. It's a, so whenever you see some movement is happening of your move of one of your bones. So to get the absolute location of one of the bones, you actually need to do it from your blueprint. You cannot do it from your controlling blueprint.
So that's
So you,
so it's just component space then, is it?
yeah. Basically, it's a component space. It's not the actual world space. So to get the world space, you can there are a bunch of options. Like for example, you can go to your animation blueprints and you can get a socket location. There is an option called get socket location, and that is actually giving you the absolute location of your bone.
Cool. So that's kind of just running through the basic of just kind of getting the head movement going.
Yes.
Were you? Was there anything else you were covering with control rig from this point?
Yeah. There are many things else. I mean, many thing more that we can cover. So I will start with IK first of all.
The reason I ask is because we are running a little short on time, so we can only cover a little bit longer because we've still got to get through UD as well, I believe. So,
Yeah,
uh,
so
Okay,
we can stop here. Yeah, and I think
we could probably.
what UD was supposed to cover we can do that now. So UD, so Vivek is actually going to cover UD spot because of the technical issues on that computer.
Okay.
So Vivek is ready to go with.
If there was anything else, sorry, I didn't mean to say stop now. But I was going to say that we've only got a little bit of time. So if there was anything that you really wanted to jump into, maybe we should we'll jump into that first.
There are two things. One is the aim control that I'm going to show. Another is the IK control that I'm going to show, and how you can use different kinds of IK.
Okay.
And what are the different examples? So first of all, I will start with an IK control. So let's create one. I will not be creating four arms and 2 arms and 2 legs. I will just be concentrating on one hand. But obviously the logic is going to be same for all the arms and legs. So let's create one IK control over here. So for that, let's create a new control, which is now also parented to my root control, and let's name it as left hand control. So this again brings up my gizmo over here, and I will again do the same. I will not change the shape of the gizmo. This is fine for now, and I will do a right click and set initial transform from closest bone. Now if I hit compile, it's going to snap it. I mean, it keeps snapped at my hand bone, and if I move it around and again hit compile, it's going to snap it back here. What I want to do here now is create a basic IK node. So there are a bunch of options you get. Basic IK, basic fabric IK. So I will be choosing this first, basic IK, because this is what we are going to be. This is which is going to be useful for your IK setup. So so your upper bone, your bone A is going to be your upper arm from where your IK is going to be starting. So I will is upper arm left. Bone B is going to be lower arm, or basically your elbow point, and bone C, this is the bone which is going to get affected, which is your effector bone. Now I get a really weird result, but I see my fingers are fixed because I have not created check propagate the children. So I will do that because I also want the handle is getting affected by but I also want all the fingers that are parented to my hand, left hand. So for that you have to do this propagate the children. And now I'm getting this weird result because I have not chosen any transformation yet. So what I will do now, get control transform. So now I will choose left hand control, set the transformation over here. Now I see if I move this around,
Cool.
yes. So this is very cool, but I think the axis, need to see the primary axis and secondary axis. The secondary axis is going to be, this is the left hand, so it's I mean for the right hand it's, and also your pole vector needs to be changed. What is your pole? What do I mean by pole vector? Pole vector is your elbow pivot that is going to, I mean, set the rotation of this bone. Now you see rotation got messed up. So I want the pole vector to be around at this position of time, at this point of time. I mean, for example, if you want a vector which is located slightly below, behind your elbow, basically, so that's going to control the proper alignment of this. So to do that, what I will do, I will create an offset over here. You see this option, make absolute. So what make absolute does, make absolute is going to create a local offset based on your parent transformation. So I will set a translation. So this is the node that you can expand. This is your transform node. If you want to expand this, you can set a translation node, and I will select it. Pole vector only needs a translation, so I will be selecting it over here. Now I see it has translated very weirdly, but this is not what I want. So I want to change the translation to some interesting font. Let's say I change it to -100. I set it to 100. Yep. Now it is. I think we can go further, and it's going to become a proper. I mean, you can experiment with that too until you get the. I think there is an option, control pin value. Where it is. I cannot see it. Anyway, so technically this control pin value, what it does, it's going to give me a pin location in somewhere around here that you can actually move it back and forth. I'm not seeing it anyway.
It's okay. I think you've actually demonstrated this part pretty well.
Yeah.
It's probably a good idea to move on to the IK so that we can kind of step through to the last parts of the session.
Yeah. So yeah, this is this is your very simple IK setup, and you can also have a pole vector as a separate control that if you go over to the main mannequin, you see they have created a pole vector for the controls that you can actually move around. So this is also a possibility. If you want to do that, if you want to have a more control over your pole vector, you can create a control. So this is basically, so if you see over here, so your pole vector is taking the control transform from there. But this gives me a fixed pole vector. If I do not want to most of the time I don't want my pole vector to move. In that case, I think I'm fine with that. So what is the difference between basic IK and basic fabric IK? Basic fabric IK first of all does not require a pole vector, because it is not confined to just the arm movement, it is doing something else also. So I will be showing you. Let's start bone is going to be the bone that is going to be the start of your fabric. We'll set this effector location for the effector transform, and my start bone, let's say my start bone is it can be anything that you want to get affected at the start of the. I will show you. First, I will show you the spine 0, 1. So I want this spine bone to get affected. Where is this spine bone located? This spine bone is located. I think this one is the spine bone. And the effector bone can be L. Now you see when I'm moving my hand, the entire body till the spine is moving. And if you want more control over how it is moved, so you see it, I set it to root. Now what's going to happen? You see this entire body can be dragged around.
I think I'm going to call that a feature.
What?
I think I'm going to call that a feature.
Yeah. No, this is a feature. I mean, like if you are making some game where actually you have sneaked behind a person and you have killed the person. Now you have to hide that body. So you are dragging around that body, and you can set your IK fixed at your say at the arm of the player, and then you can do this fabric IK to create this drag around animation very easily. Yeah, but after a certain point of time, see the stretch is happening. So you actually have to move the root also to make it look more realistic. You cannot just, I mean, set it to. You have to actually move the root control as well, so that once this animation has been completed, it actually looks like it is being dragged around. And while this, yeah, then you can also play with this. You can, I mean, do left, right, or make a physics based animation, move it based on the physics transformation, however you want. It's up to you. Fabric IK is useful for those kind of purpose. So next control is that is have left hand control. Yeah. Next I can talk about aim
Sorry,
control.
I
Yes.
think we should. Yeah, we won't have enough time for the other section, so I think this is good for the IK section on control rig. Yeah. So I think we can move on. And uh, Chris, we have Vivek covering the next part.
Wonderful. Okay, I'll switch over to his stream. Just give me just one moment. So Vivek's running through the next one.
Yeah, he's gonna cover what Judy was supposed to cover. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Hopefully we fewer technical difficulties. We can get this one through.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready.
It's all yours. Take it away. You're live.
Okay, thank you. So here, let's see how we can take any animation that we do in Maya to Unreal. So here I'm using a Mixamo character. So because I'm using a Mixamo character, I'm using the Mixamo script that helps us import and export animations. So you can do this with basically not this script, like you can use the same thing as game exporter as I showed before. So this is just because I'm using Mixamo character, I'm using the script, nothing else. So let's go ahead and export this animation out. So it baked it out, and let's put it in the right place. Yeah. So now let's go back to Unreal. So let's bring in the character that we have just exported from Unreal. Sorry, from Maya. So we can just drag and drop the character in. And since we already have the character, the rig character inside Unreal, we can just connect it to the skeleton. And we can keep everything like this. Import. Yeah, so now we have the animation inside. And this is basically like you can do this for any other, like if you have your own custom rig that you made, and if you bring them in before just the rig, as Vijay also showed, like how you can bring FBXs and things. So this is how you can bring in the data. Now we are going to look into how we can take this animation and make our own small sequence. So for the sequencer, let's create a level sequence. Here we can, since we already have the character here, so let's do it from the beginning. Let's just remove this. Neat. So we will take the character, drag and drop inside the scene. Now we will go inside this sequencer, drag it in, and now we can have, since we already have, so I'll just want to show you one more thing here, like how I have done, like how I've imported this walk. I have done the same thing for a run and a walk before this, and so that we can use multiple animations. So quickly we can make a small scene to see how we can use this. So let's, so here once you get the animation, the character in, we have two tracks, one is transform and one is animation. This where we can add all the animations that we have imported. So let's take a walk first. just to blend it, like we are trying to make a scene where a character is walking, and then from walk it transitions to run. So since it's a loop, it's a cycle, we can take how much ever we want. Let's take 2 walks, and then add a, oh, sorry, I added a walk again, add a run, so that it transitions from walk to run. Need to do 2 of this. Okay. So now if I play this, you can say it's walking. Oh, it's, and then running. So here, like, I know a lot of you are animators here who are like, no, this is snappy, this is not working. So we can have a blend between 2 animations in Unreal. So one way is we can just blend it like this. Where it slowly transitions from one to another, and we have tangents which we can use in option. So if we want a linear motion, then it can like slowly, in a linear way, it goes from one animation to another. You can use, so here you have a lot of option here you can choose from. And there is also another way where you can just keep like stack them on top of each other, one another, and then weight blend them. Basically you can keyframe it, and from 0 to 1, and this is where it ends. So for me, I also prefer it to keep this 1 as well.
It's worth noting that there are the blend modes built in to combine those two as well, though, right?
Yeah, but sometimes like it more like in workflow, I think like I preferred this way as well, so I'm just showing this. So you can definitely go ahead and blend them however you please to, but sometimes you might need this. So I'm just showing this. There's another
Sure.
weighted option which is quite good actually. So just this is like the same thing it does. It's just that the way the other one does, and like this is another process approach you can have. That's it.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I think
So now,
one of the other ways that's worth mentioning is
yeah.
the foot placement markers that you can put down for animation blueprints are another great way to blend something like this as well.
Yeah, this is that is completely through the blueprint part. So as an animator, I find this is less daunting and it's easier, like using this in sequencer, like taking multiple animations inside sequencer and blending them and making a shot. And once with the control rig and everything on top of this, it can give us more control to like really tweak this thing as we need. Yeah. So this is how we can make a quick scene out of it. Yeah, Chris, if there's anything.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, that was the part I wanted to cover.
No problem.
I'm going in for smaller smaller parts.
No, it's all right. I keep expecting there to be another bit. I'm sorry. Cool.
Yeah,
I'll
sorry,
drop
sorry.
this back to the screen. Cool. I think so. The last part we have here is a little awkward because Jeff, are you on the stream still?
Yeah, Chris, I'm still on here.
Wonderful. So Jeff made a project called Wake, and it's really beautiful. It's really incredible. It was a short film made in Unreal Engine. However, it's worth noting that we unfortunately won't be playing the audio to it just due to copyright concerns. So I'll switch over to that. But we actually have Jeff here for any Q&A for any folks who are interested in this. So I'm just going to be playing this in background over the top of things as we keep this conversation going. So yeah, Jeff, how long ago did you develop Wake, and what was the timeline for this project?
So, Wake was a project based on an idea in the sense that I was tinkering with this idea of doing something something CGI like, you know, what 3D animation movies did for us way back in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
So I was tinkering with that idea, and I felt it was like the time to do something with it in real time. Like
Yeah, yeah.
real time cinematics was moving towards CGI quality and all those kind of things.
That's wonderful.
So yeah, that's one of them. So I wanted to like explore the entirely animated feature film kind of idea, using this project while everyone else around me was, going around virtual production, the composure green screen thing. I try to do something a little bit different, right?
Yeah.
So that is the whole idea behind this, behind doing this. So um, while working on it, there were a couple of things which um, I tried to explore, and one was how to build enough quality in less time and with limited resources. So, um, so in this project, in for Wake, it was actually the bulk of stuff was divided between me and my animator friend. So it's just literally us who worked on this entire short here. And
Had you either of you kind of taken on anything like this before?
no, it was the first time attempting to do something of this scale.
That's really great. So this
And
was your first time, and it was I think you said it was a 45-day turnaround, was it?
yeah, yes, it was completed within 45 days
Yeah,
from
that's
scratch.
that's really cool. The out of curiosity, as someone like, given that there was just the two of you coming into it, were there any real challenges that you came into initially that like, is there any advice you would have given the version of you from the start of this project? Is there any advice you would give to anyone that was trying to take up a similar project in the future?
I mean, the one and only difficulty that we had was we had in the beginning was, uh, one of the errors that I see many other filmmakers do, and that is they try to find their vision during the process of making whatever they set out to make. So what we did was we figured out that vision early on in the start.
Mm-hmm.
So we identified what we wanted to do, and we also identified how we want to do it. Like we are making a cinematic thing, so we had like um, figured out that we wanted our primary meshes to be of cinematic quality. This robot mesh that you see here, one robot character is around 1.6 million in triangle count.
Okay, you went
The robot
hardcore on
alone.
that.
Yeah, we went totally hardcore, and it has around 360 4K texture maps.
Got it. That does seem like overkill, but it's got a great result. I'll give you that. I feel like
Yeah.
you must have been watching the UE5 demo and pretty happy with things.
Actually, we never used any normal maps for our character as well. All details that you see are like modeled in,
Got
and
it.
that
You brought in the
and that
scopes.
was yeah, and that was like the UE5 thing, right? No normal maps, kind of thing.
Well, I mean,
So we
for
were actually
UE5, it's the environment. Is there any? Yeah. Sorry. Keep going. Keep going.
yeah. So and 360, texture maps. So we were on the UE5 train before UE5 announcement, sort of, so to speak.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, as far as your workflow was concerned, could you give us a little bit of insight into that?
Yeah. So workflow in the sense there is character workflow, environment workflow,
I
animation
think
workflow.
I think from like, first off, what was your planning workflow, and then in general, was there any aspect to the animation pipeline or anything like that's worth bringing up? Like, are there any key call outs to workflow that were a little bit outside of the norm, I guess?
Oh yeah. Okay. So the animation workflow was pretty standard film animation workflow.
Hmm.
So because the character was 1.6 million polygons, we didn't actually animate the character. We made a proxy mesh, and we animated the proxy mesh.
Oh, really? That would
Yeah,
explain
and
how you
we
got your incredibly high poly count going.
yeah, and And then later on, once we were happy with the kind of animations that we wanted, and we used the traditional FBX pipeline, to take things in. It was the animation was all done in Blender, and we just had an easy time, switching, uh, changing things, and just re-import the FBX back. The new changes will be like taken inside the engine. So that was like quite convenient. We could do multiple passes a day, and we could figure out takes like that quickly,
That's
because we are not rendering play blast and then seeing everything, right? We are like
yeah.
taking it directly inside the engine and seeing how the animation reacts with the environments, with the effects, and how does it feel overall. All those kind of things. The feedback is very direct.
I think
So
this is really exciting to hear. Out of curiosity, if you were to, given what you know now, and given that this was a learning exercise, how quickly do you think you would be able to do a project like this again?
I think maybe about 5-6 weeks.
Okay, so pretty quick.
That's about it. Yeah. It would still be quick, because I actually used Unreal Engine itself in the very beginning to mock out my storyboard.
Okay,
So I had figured my camera angles and focuses right away from the start.
got it. It's
And
could you provide any insight into your rigging pipeline for this? Were you using art, or were you using
no,
like
it was a custom rig built
custom?
in Blender.
Okay, so this was from Blender.
Yeah, the UVing and all those kind of things were done in Modo,
Cool.
and we took it to Blender to animate it.
All right.
And
Does anyone else have any questions? If you do, feel free to throw them into the chat.
yeah, if anyone have any questions about how
Folks
the
have been,
different.
yeah. I mean, generally, it seems like the questions have been focusing on workflow and such. I got to be honest with you. That opening shot, looking out the window, is really beautiful. The lighting there was spot on. This is this just using the standard deferred pipeline, or was this using ray tracing?
No, there was no ray tracing used.
Got it. I feel like for robots, that would have been perfect.
This
If
was
you were
this
to do
was
it
done.
again.
That was done in an older version of Unreal. It was done on 4.20.
4.20. So that'd be what, the
Couple of
mid to early 2019, I guess.
Yeah, it was using one of the older versions.
Got it. All right. All right. Cool. One question here was, what was your lighting process?
So every shot that you see here, every shot is its own map. In the sense, I've split up the maps for um, according to the shot that was needed. Uh, I can, if needed be, I can like give you an example of how that
Oh,
looks. If I
yeah,
can,
yeah, yeah. If you've got the project that you can open up, I'm sure everyone would love to take a peek inside for some of the
I
setup.
mean, right.
As long as
So
you're comfortable with that, don't let me force you into anything.
no, I'm totally comfortable with that. No problem. It's just my PC might be lagging a bit because it's such a heavy project to run on
It's
that
okay.
1070 GTX.
It's okay. Just get the stream up, and we'll switch it over, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, sure. I'm just
While it's loading up though, someone said, "Can you give us some insight into your render setup?"
everything is default. I haven't changed anything for anything fancy. The color grading was done on DaVinci Resolve though. And that is where most of the editing and the color correction process took place. So yeah, that's about it, I guess.
Oh, that's cool.
So
Have you fooled around with with any of the UE4 color grading options?
yeah, I have, but I'm not such a huge fan of it though, because
Brutal.
as far as I'm concerned, Resolve gives me like more better tools with much better controls. So, and also at the end of the day, this was going to be a movie like experience, right?
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
a game per se. So, yeah, so that's about that
No, no
arrangements.
problem. Has that project loaded up, or is it still firing up?
Yeah, it's loaded up. Okay.
Okay. Let me know when
Okay, I'll
you.
just quickly do a screen share
Thank you.
here.
Yeah, folks, will be 1 moment. One question that was here is, what would you do differently if you did it again?
What would I do differently if I did it again?
Mm-hmm.
I might check out to see how this looks with ray tracing on.
Ray
Probably.
tracing. Yeah, okay, that's fair. That does sound.
There are a couple of reasons why I didn't go for ray tracing. One, because my card cannot handle it, and I was using an older version of Unreal. So okay, so what I did was, um, every shot that you see is its own map. So like say this shot here is the second shot. All right. So this is how it looks with the raw lighting. Uh, Everything else is color graded inside DaVinci Resolve. So for this shot, if I just move out, oh wait a sec. Okay. So for this shot, you can already see the camera lagging because of lots of things in the background. So for this shot, I only have one half of the library, and the other things are like unlit. Right. So I broke up each of my shots into like separate maps that only use up, resources that are there on that shot. I don't do like anything else, and it was completely dynamically lit. There wasn't like a baking process or anything like that, so to speak.
Got it. It is very pretty. Is that using volumetric fog, or are you ray marching yourself?
Okay, so the fog is a couple of things. So I cast a couple of volumetric fog from spotlights over here, as you can see, and above that, I layer the 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 mesh fog, right? The
Okay.
mesh
Yep.
beams. So when it all comes together, it feels like one cohesive unit kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't crank up the resolution of the volumetric fog since you're turning everything else up to 11. But I guess you don't need it. It seems to be working pretty well.
Yeah, I didn't need it. It was working pretty decently.
Got it. Are
And
there
there were
any?
a couple of like animation stuff that was done within Sequencer itself.
Mhm.
Like Sequencer was a great tool to make all this in. Like I remember uh, having like so many issues with you know Matinee back in the day. So
Yeah, I mean, I actually thought Matinee was alright until I used Sequencer, and then I understood
yeah,
why Matinee was bad, if you know what I mean. Sometimes you need
yeah,
the better
totally get
tool
you.
to have a better perspective on the old ones, right?
Yeah, like okay, so for this one, which is like the final shot where the robot just walks away, I have unloaded the outside cityscape thing
Hmm.
so that this runs better. Now, as far as like technical limitation goes, you can throw in how much ever you want, depending on how much VRAM you have on your card,
Hmm.
right? So I had crashed my card like 5, 6, 7 times during the making of this process
Got it.
because over here itself there are like three robots that's like I don't know 316 to 3 Texas there, I guess. Okay, so this one particular shot, um okay, it has the robot walking away from the sunboard, right?
Hmm.
So let me just preview that. Okay. Okay, so it has the robot walking away from the sunboard. Now, this one shot, I initially we didn't have like a walk away animation, right? So what I did was we one sec. Okay. So we didn't have a walk away animation. So the original animation was this robot walking in place, right? So because of sequencer, I could just animate some transform locations and make it appear as if he's walking away,
Hmm.
and that was like too simple. sequencer actually made it simple. I didn't have to like go back to Blender or go back to Maya and animate that stuff again.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no need of it.
No, that's great. That's really really cool. Are there any other questions that are popping up in the chat? People, I mean, it seems mostly, oh hey, that's really pretty. Like people are just generally impressed. Uh, but not too many more questions.
Yeah. So
Apart
look,
from
there is.
the comment that that is a lot of lights. It looks
Oh
like you're
yeah,
making good use of decals too.
yeah. There's the dirt and everything on the on the assets here are completely done with decals. So someone asked about my lighting procedure, right? So uh, most of the time I do it like what you say on a dynamics level, in the sense that I don't bake anything if it doesn't require to be baked. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
to show this thing, um, actually, so this is basically how the light looks with how the scene looks by default, right? So I have I have a habit of painting my GI, in the sense that I just add up, fill lights to demonstrate GI. So that is fill lights over there.
Yep.
So I have like a cluster of them, and slowly but eventually the whole place will start to look right, I guess. Yep. Yeah, and the lighting was done on per map basis. So the lighting for this shot was different to the lighting of the other shots that preceded this. So every shot was lit as per as per the camera angle in that shot, if that makes sense.
Hmm. Yeah, I get what you mean. I mean, like, out of curiosity, could you show folks how you're using the decals? It looks like you're actually using it full of the fine artwork on the carpets and such. Are you? Is that just a
No,
base?
the carpet is just a base albedo texture with parallax occlusion mapping.
Yep, yep. So what are the decals for that are on top of it?
So the decals are just for dirt.
Ah, okay, yeah, just grime and
Dirt,
dirt.
mud, dust. Yeah, it's just grime and
Yeah.
dirt.
Are you using the old DDX DDY trick to 3D project, or are you?
No, I'm not using like any fancy trick on this.
Got
It's
it.
just
Just curious, just curious. All right, that's really really great. We're having a couple of questions popping up. Someone asked about how many lights can overlap. So in Unreal, you can have pretty much infinite static lights. That's fine. Same with dynamic lights. You know, you're going to get some performance issues at a time, but it's stationary lights are static lights with dynamic shadows. Those are the
I,
ones that you can only have up to 4 of them overlapping at a time.
yes.
So
Also one more thing to remember, like you do say that, like people do say that there's like a whole bunch of lights here, but one thing to remember is, unless these lights cast shadows, they won't add to performance at all.
yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, I have lots of like movable lights over here, but these aren't casting any shadows.
Yeah, okay.
So they're just there for color. So that won't cost you anything much when it comes to performance. When it comes to casting shadows, I just have like a couple coming through the sky ceiling here,
Mm-hmm.
and one directional light from these windows here. That's about it.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Look, if it seems like we're pretty much done for questions. So, thanks a lot for your time. Thanks for running us through this. This was really, really impressive, and there's clearly a lot of people that got a bit of inspiration out of this. There is one last
Yeah,
question here. Is there much going on for post-processing wise in the shots? Was one of the questions.
Yeah, there's a lot of color grading happening outside Unreal, and plus there are some post process filters when it comes to the bloom and kind of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think I might have upped the screen space ambient occlusion a notch, I guess. I might have to check what all I did. Uh,
That's a lot of fog sheets as well. You've gone
Oh,
you've gone hard on those. All right. Cool.
If you think the fog sheets were too much, just look at how many I have in terms of light beams. You know,
Yeah, okay.
This is like a never-ending thing.
This is
So,
when you should
like,
use folders.
Like you see these rays from the glowing ball, right?
Mhm.
So what that does is it has one point light in the center with some volumetric scattering, and there are like some 40 to 50 light rays, you know,
Yep.
stuck in various angles.
Yeah, yeah. I can. I
That
mean,
gives us
I probably would have done that myself in a different way, but your result is great, so I guess we'll leave it. Because some material-based volumetric fog injection could work really well for something like that. I think.
Yeah, it could, but
if it's working.
But I was constrained on time, and I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm not going to model anything specifically for this, so let me just abuse whatever.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Well, look, I think you've done a really solid job of demonstrating what you can do on that kind of timeline with a solid vision, and you've done it without a lot of the bells and whistles that people think might be necessary. Like this
Yeah,
this didn't require ray tracing. You just hit this really hard, and it's come out incredibly well. So look,
This didn't even like require any sort of special render setup or anything. It was all done on default. Like take your light mask settings. Oh yeah, I did mention that nothing in this was like probably baked, right? So these lights coming from the sky outside, it's just probably that is baked. Nothing else is baked. Everything is running real time. So
No, it's a great job. Well, look, thanks a lot for your time. You've definitely done a solid job on inspiring a whole bunch of people, and thank you to the rest of the Green Rain team. It was really great to have all of you here, and you shared a wealth of knowledge. This was a longer than average workshop, but yeah, thanks so much. And for everyone else, I guess I'll hopefully see some of you tomorrow for the scripting. The introduction to scripting, and for the intro to VFX, which will be coming up. So thank you very much, folks. Have a good day. And
Thank you, Chris. Yeah.
thanks, look.
Happy birthday, by the way. So
Thanks, man.
go on and have some fun. But yeah, we'll celebrate your birthday here in Mumbai as well.
Chris, I have a beer at home. I'll pop one in.
Tell me, is this thing on now? I've been working long like a marathon now. Tying up words, making them a bomb now. Tell me, who turned on the alarm now? I got a message when they put it in a song now. I'll see you later, all the haters got it wrong now. We're touching the lightning, we're coming alive, yeah. We're feeling inside, yeah. We got the power. Yeah, come on. We got the power. Yeah, turn it up. We got the power. Come on, is everybody with me? It's time to get together, no more enemies. Throw your hands up, can you feel the energy? Yeah, come on, can you finally hear what this means? 20-something years been chasing down this street, running like a wild man, going since 15. We're touching the lightning, we're coming alive, yeah. We're feeling inside, yeah. We got the power. Yeah, come on. We got the power. Woo. we got